It is great to be back with you today, and I have some information about real estate inventory and how it's affecting pretty much everything, and why the answers to the questions that have been posed all year long have not been the answers that the consumers have wanted to hear. I'm going to unlock that mystery. So the first thing is we want to talk about the bottom of the market, which, in my opinion, occurred November 1st, 2022. So let's make that in ink. That's when it happened. And there were some changes that have occurred since that time that have affected everything. And I mean everything in the industry. The conversation surrounding the industry is that prices are going to drop dramatically. And, it's going to be 2008 all over again. And we go back to the time where we stood firmly and said that it wasn't going to go that way, that those 2008 times were based on loose money and improper lending guidelines and liar loans and money where it just, just raise your hand, say you'll pay it back, and, I make $200,000 a year as a cashier, no problem, get those loans. See, that wasn't what's happened. These were loans in real estate that were done on the full documentation principles, so it was never going to be that. And then you look at the rise in interest rates, 4 times in the last 50, 60 years, rates have spiked that high. And within 18 months, we're back down to that same level. Now, I don't know if the fourth time, this most recent time, is going to go all the way back down to 2 or 3%, because there was a lot of manipulation there. But very reasonable to be in the 4s or definitely the 5s. And I think you'll start to see that occurring. That 18-month horizon is going to, if you're a conspiracy theorist, join with me right now sometime around November, 1 year out from presidential elections. I think you'll see some easing on that. On the interest rate side, getting back towards where it was. Recently, the Fed did not raise the funds rate for the first time in 11 meetings. So that was a pause for them. There may or may not be another raise this year. It may just pause again and pause again. My suspicion is they'll ease as we get close to that 1 year period before the election. Same with inflation. I think that the steps they've taken are going to take time to show up, and I believe there will be a convergence of lower inflation and lower interest rates fourth quarter 2023. So when we understand that these financial manipulations have been occurring, the conversation largely is what's going on with real estate inventory, because if affordability is in theory down because rates are higher and inflation is higher, it can only be real estate pricing, which didn't go down. And specifically in the Florida market, it's been up pretty much every month in the year-over-year category over the last 8 months. So what gives? Well, there's a thing called inventory, and when you compare January of 23 to January of 22, what you'll find is there's almost 70% more inventory available. And you're thinking, okay, so inventory is going to double. That'll definitely make prices come down because there's way more to choose from. Everything costs more. That will have downward pressure on price. I'm like, not so fast. When you think of the person that's buying in Florida, they're coming from high-cost markets with even higher inflation and higher taxes, and they don't have the weather, and the median prices, on balance, are larger from where they're coming from. It's very attractive for the weather. It's also very attractive for business owners and high-income earners to come to a place with no state income tax. It's just math. So what we find is if you're selling in an area where the median sales price is $400,000, $500,000, $600,000, and you're buying where it's 3 or 4, you've got money left over in that transaction. So you're going to continue to do that. And I don't know that it's going to change. So the next piece that comes into this is going to be affordability. So when they're netting 500 or 600 on a sale, or even 400, or paying 3, they got 100,000 left over. So they still have not wavered on paying the listing price. When you fast forward the remainder of this piece and you wonder, what does it look like, and why aren't we seeing these changes in prices? The number I want you to think about is in the month of May, the inventory year over year, comparing 23 to 22, was about 15% higher. So that bubble of 70% increase in interest rates is now 15. My suspicion, back with some data and some economists that I trust, is that we will go inventory negative in July. And the inventory available in July of 23 will be less than of 22. That's likely to put some upward pressure on price. So there's going to be a squeeze another squeeze. End of May, middle of June, all the way up to the end of July. There's going to be a squeeze in the inventory, pushing prices forward in a super peak buying period because that's when most people move. And as that goes forward, the easing will come later in the year. So there's going to be this valley where those that were looking to purchase, they're going to be paying the least amount they're going to pay between now and July 31st. Is only going to accelerate things. August, September, October are going to be a little different. They may or may not be quiet, but they'll be different because the interest rate reductions and inflation reductions will not hit till later in the year. Meanwhile, prices are pushing higher and higher. So affordability is going to go out the window for about 90 days. So if you're looking to purchase this year, this window through the end of July, when we go negative in August, is going to be the window to really watch for. I'm very bullish on purchasing in this market right now because there has good foundations in it from what we're seeing from the top economists that we study and speak with on a weekly basis. So there's good data out there that suggests this is exactly what's going to happen. The same data markers that we used back in November when we eased everyone's mind and said, look, the market is not going to crash. The prices are not going to be half of that. If you're anticipating that you're going to purchase a home that was worth far lower in price than you could have had last November, you probably lost that bet because it's absolutely more money to purchase a home now than it was last November. So, that's not looking forward and guessing. That's looking in the rearview mirror and saying that's exactly what happened. Our suspicion is what's going to happen this time too. So when we look into the future, balance of summer, brisk sales, we will see the units continue to be down. When you compare year over year, there's absolutely less units being sold, but the prices have held firm. If anything, they'll be pushing upward. And the units are pretty good the last month or so. So we would see this conundrum of, why aren't prices coming down and why I don't understand the market. We're not focused on the right things, or I should say we're probably connecting dots that should not be connected. The interest rate was not a driver of home sales up or down, and neither was the inflation rate. So it's availability and location. And when you compare the incomes of the people making the move, it's affordable for them to move. In essence, if you were staying in the same state, and let's say you're up north or out west or something like that, and you decide to sell a $500,000 home and move into a $300,000 home, you'd be downsizing. Well, in essence, you're performing a downsizing, except for it's not a downsize when you move to a different location with different financial parameters that help you. So the downsize was they just moved to a different state, and they're absolutely spending less money, but they're getting the same house or more in the location they prefer to be. So this is the true driver of the market. And when you start to think about that downsize conversation, I think it starts to connect the right dots. And that's what we're going to be looking at over the next 4 to 6 weeks is how this plays out. We definitely have a vision of how this is going to play out. And what comes after that's what's going to be really interesting to me. Does the inventory spring back? Do home sellers, people trying to move, do they have the confidence to take that next step and to actually list their home on the market to sell it, trusting there will be something available for them to watch? And if you want to use interest rate as a driver of the market, then that's not what you think. Those very same people about to sell the home could very well be in a long-term fixed rate loan of 2, 3, or 4%. They're going to have to give that up. There's no portability of interest rates. You can't bring it with you. So you're going to sell your home. You're going to give up your 3% interest rate if you had financed, and you'll be moving into a rate that might be 6 or 7. So for a lot of people, that's the real roadblock to going on the market. And it's what's holding back that inventory level for availability to make the next purchase. That's the lever that's going to move everything. And I think you'll begin to see it as rates begin to soften. So again, towards the end of the year, when it begins to make more sense, I'm giving up a 4% interest rate and I'm taking a 5 back. That's probably more palatable than going from a 3 to a 6 or 7. When we examine the reasons that people are holding back, I'm hoping this paints a clear picture based on data, economics, removing most of the emotion. Now it's just being pragmatic. Is the next home that I might buy so compelling I'm willing to give up a super low interest rate and move and sell my house in order to make that possible? That's the question that every seller is asking themselves right now. That's the real reason this market is driving the way that it is. But that's for someone, and let's use Florida, that's for somebody who's already in Florida. The pressure point is the number of people is still the proverbial 1,000 people a day moving to Florida. That doesn't apply because I've used the downsize conversation. They're coming from a different market for different reasons, different motivating factors. They're just buying into this market. It's likely to keep new construction busy. There's numbers out there that say within this market that 40% of the market is resales, 20% for single-family homes, and then 20% of condos. 40% has been hovering around all year long as new construction. So if you're in new construction, I imagine you'll continue to build. And as rates ease, it'll be more attractive to people coming in to purchase. And I believe that there will be a continued push of people coming into Florida for weather reasons, economic reasons, and the downsize reasons. It's affordability is still in Florida compared to a lot of other high-price states and high-tax states. So now that we've walked you through what's going on, super interested to see where the market heads between now, first week of August. There will be some eyebrow raises of what just happened over here. And my belief, you'll go back to this and you'll say, you know what? Hey, we called this before it happened, the same way we called it back in last November. And if not, drop me a comment, call me out, tell me I was wrong. Perfectly okay if you tell me I'm wrong, but I don't think that's how it's going to play out. All right. Truly enjoyed being with you today. I look forward to catching up with you once again very soon. This is Ron Wojciechowski for the Black Hole of Real Estate.